Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coco Chats with Julie and Carr. This is our second episode. I am Julie, as the label under my name says, and
I'm
this is
Car.
Carr. Yeah. So today we are going to be talking about Nancy Drew, which many of our audience knows because we both play Nancy Drew. But they're PC mystery games by a company called Her Interactive. They have been around since the late 90s. I think the first one was released in 1999 or 1998. And there are 33 games total in the series. I have played all of the games. Carr has played
Only 22 of them. So,
22. So
mhm.
um, we're working on it. So you
Yes.
definitely should check out Car's channel whenever she's playing one of the newer games or one of the games she hasn't played before. It's really entertaining to watch someone new play them. I like to watch people suffer.
It is very
But
fun.
yeah. But yeah,
And we're
and we
drinking
have
hot
our
chocolate.
cocoa today. I almost forgot.
Yes.
Got my mug.
Doo-doo.
Got
Um,
my crazy cat lady mug because I am a crazy cat lady. In case you can't tell by the headphones. Um, but yeah, so let's just go ahead and jump right into the podcast today. So we were going to be talking about Nancy Drew games, and we kind of wanted to start out by talking about our first Nancy Drew game ever. So I'm gonna let Car take the floor and tell us about how you got into Nancy Drew, what your first game was, and all of that.
Yeah, sure. So, probably around whenever I was 8 years old, me and my middle sister were about a year and a half apart. We discovered we were at like a store and we decided we were with our parents and we saw this Nancy Drew mystery game and we told our parents we have to get this game. First Nancy Drew game I played was Secrets Can Kill, and they now have a remastered version of it, but I remember playing it like, the OG original Secrets Can Kill game, and it was so much fun. We had a blast and it was really fun because it was something me and my sister could do together and a way because we both loved mysteries. We both shared the love for mysteries. And then my younger sister as well, she was a little bit younger than us though. She would like stay up and it would be a little bit scary. Some of it would be a little scary for her, but she would sit and watch us too. And it was just something really fun to, get us all three of us together and, solving the mystery.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember Secrets Can Kill playing the remastered one. I lived in a lot of houses when I was growing up, so the one that I call the yellow house, which is sort of like when I was in 4th and 5th grade, and maybe
Aw.
6th, for a bit. But I remember playing it, sitting in the kitchen playing it at the main computer, having to switch the discs.
Oh,
I
yeah, the
haven't played
discs.
Secrets Can Kill in years because, switching the discs, but I would like to play the original one again sometime.
Mhm.
It's a good game. It's definitely gets you into the series. Definitely a very different vibe from the rest of the series, though, I would say. That
Oh,
was,
yeah.
like, the first one. It included a murder, and then we didn't have another murder again until, The Deadly Device, which I don't know if you played that one yet.
Nope, I have not played that
Yeah,
one.
but that one is also a murder mystery, so, um interesting vibes for sure. But anyway, so for me, the thing that got me into Nancy Drew, I lived in Maine for 4 years growing up, and it was the
Aw.
best. Maine is amazing. But, my grandparents also lived in Maine, and so we would go to my grandparents' house, which was, my mom's house growing up, and I would go upstairs and play in the attic. And on my grandpa's side of the attic, because each my grandma and grandpa both had a room, he had a bookshelf full of books,
Mhm.
and they were books that, like, my uncle and my mom had read growing up, and there was Nancy Drew, The Secret of the Old Clock, and I didn't pick it up, like, at first. I was like, "Oh, well, this looks kinda cool, maybe I'll read it someday." But then we went to a Best Buy, me and my brother, and my mom told us and we didn't have video game consoles growing up, we had the computer, that was what we played on, so,
Mhm.
we didn't get video games or anything like that, we just played computer games. And so my mom told us, "You can each get a computer game. Like,
Mhm.
choose carefully, like, pick what computer game you want." And I see this purple game, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, purple's, like, one of my favorite colors, I love this." And then I see it says Nancy Drew Treasure in the Royal Tower,
Oh,
and I'm
love
like,
that one.
"Nancy Drew?" Like, the book that is upstairs in the attic. So I'm like, "Mom, I wanna get this one." And I took it home, played it fell absolutely in love with it to this day. Treasure Island and the Royal Tower is still one of my favorite Nancy Drew games. It's funny because I feel like I gravitate towards the purple Nancy Drew games. Most of my favorite Nancy Drew games are the ones with the purple covers. But that one definitely has a near and dear place in my heart because it was the first one I ever played. And then after that, like I got 2 Nancy's for Christmas like a year or like for my
Oh,
birthday. And like that was sort of like the presents I got until we caught up and I had like most of them and then I get, whatever one was coming out that year. So definitely have been playing Nancy Drew a long time. I was like probably about 9 or 10 and then I was 10 when I joined her interactive message boards, but that we can talk about a little later.
yes, yes. Oh, but see, honestly, I always thought that the Nancy Drew games came in such cool colored boxes. Like they were really cool all the time,
For
every time you got
sure.
them. And I actually, while you were discussing your childhood, I remember playing Ghost Dogs of Moon Lake, and like the first starting up part of it, where the dogs are kind of running up and kind of clawing at the wall. This doesn't give anything away to anybody, but
Mhm. It's the first scene
I
of the
was
game.
terrified. I remember
Oh my
so being so
gosh.
scared. I was like, "Am I going to be able to play this game?"
So, it's funny that you mentioned Ghost Dogs Moon Like, I actually have it right here because it's one of the 2 games. I'm moving, so I had to save 2 games back in case I wanna stream them,
Hmm.
and the next 2 in the series I have to play are Secret of Scarlet Hand and Ghost Dogs Moon Lake, so I have it right here.
Oh, you have
Um,
it. I love it.
yeah. So Ghost Dogs of Moon Lake, interesting game. I am not scared by things. I've said this before in a previous podcast. I am not scared of horror. It does not freak me out. Ghost Dogs and Moon Lake is the only Nancy Drew game that I have actually been scared to go outside at night because of that scene. Like,
Hmm.
little like what, 12-year-old me did not realize that, oh yeah, the game developers aren't gonna, animate the dogs coming back. It's only gonna
Yeah.
be that one scene. But in my head, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm about to die." So, yeah, only game that has, like, actually scared me. There you go, Nancy
Yeah.
Drew, horror game.
That
Also
literally
Valorant, but,
the dogs, it was just the fact that the dogs were coming and clawing at the door, I was like,
howling and screaming.
"Mhm." And then the yellow
You're like,
eyes, I think they
"Emily."
had yellow eyes or something, that was
Mhm.
terrifying.
But that now that you mentioned, Ghost Dogs, I mean, like, a little bit of a tangent, one of the best game characters in the series is introduced in Ghost or no, she's introduced in the final scene, but she makes a reoccurrence in Ghost Dogs of Moon Lake, and that is Eustacia Andropov, and that
Oh,
line, "Nancy Drew, you are not dead yet?"
yeah!
I love her. Eustacia Andropov is a vibe.
I do too.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, it's so good.
Um,
So good.
but yeah, what I think is very important to note to everybody is how Julie and I met. I was actually streaming a Nancy Drew game, and this is what kind of started everything and how we decided, oh my gosh, we have to do a podcast, especially do a podcast on Nancy Drew because it's what brought the two of us together and kind of makes me
Yeah,
so
for
happy.
sure. It really has brought a lot of people together. I feel like most of the community I've made on Twitch is Nancy Drew fans, and I live for that. Like, it's amazing. And the Nancy Drew community, I will stand by this statement. I have never seen a fandom that is more supportive of each other.
Hmm.
There is not much infighting. There might be in some groups, I guess, but there is literally not much infighting in the Nancy Drew fandom. People respect each other's opinions. And it's a fandom that could have polarizing opinions, like Ned C versus Francie. Like people could get mad at each other about that, but they don't. And
Hmm.
it's really nice for that reason. And I've loved the Nancy Drew community ever since I joined the message boards back in when I was 10 years old. But it's amazing to see that it still exists. Before I joined Twitch and started streaming Nancy Drew, I actually um had a Tumblr dedicated to Nancy Drew. I have, like, a lot of followers on there, but I don't post on there anymore. But, like, just the community is so great. It's so great to see it still alive.
Oh, I love it. And honestly, that's kind of what brought me back to now why I'm streaming Nancy is
Mhm.
because I, would watch Twitch and different games and, a lot of first person shooters I would be watching. But my sister one day, brought it up like, hey, I think, it'd be really cool if, we could still play Nancy together, but you stream it. And that's something that is why I'm back streaming again and, streaming Nancy Drew, and I'm so excited that it's, Nancy Drew that I do
Yeah,
stream.
it's so nice. It was like a vibe really, like, it was just like, "Okay," my friend who, got me into streaming, he actually was like, "You could stream so many things, you could have such a fun time," because he was already streaming, and I was like, "You know, I wanna stream Nancy Drew." He's like, "Well, okay," like, don't know how that'll do, but okay. And so I decided that, I was gonna stream once I finished my semester, I was gonna stream Midnight in Salem because it was the only Nancy Drew game that I have not played yet. It had just come out, and I was like, I'm gonna wait to stream it. And I streamed that game. Took me about 3 streams to complete the game. And in the 3rd and final stream, that's when I met Plague Rat 306, Plague, and that was sorta like
Aw.
my introduction to the real Nancy community, and it was amazing. Just it was amazing because Plague was just so nice, and I was like, "This is great." Like, I love having people come talk to me about Nancy Drew. I didn't expect this to happen, and then I ended up raiding, Aaron Casey Gamers, whose name was Bad Graphics Girl 2003 at that point, and, that's when I fell in with, like, the whole community there, because Aaron and I co-streamed a Nancy Drew game really quickly. So, I just love the community so much, and, like, they're just all amazing people. It's great.
And I feel like what would be really fun, Julie, is we should do a co-stream and kinda do some sort of Nancy Drew game together. I think that'd be so fun.
Yeah, that would be amazing. It's so much fun to co-stream Nancy, especially a Nancy that you've already played before, because, you kinda get the pressure off of, like, doing the puzzles
Yes.
all by yourself, but also, like, it's hard when you're doing puzzles in a Nancy Drew game and you also have a chat to watch
Yes.
because you're worried about just staying too quiet. The struggles of streaming Nancy. But yeah, I would love to co-stream with you. I probably will never co-stream Ransom of the Seven Ships again with anyone. I co-streamed that with AG Biz a while ago, and it became an ASMR stream at the end because I just was whispering because I had given up on life.
Yes. I think it'd be so much fun to co-stream. I think we should definitely do it.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
So, I think the next item that we should discuss is kind of like the main characters that are always appearing in the Nancy Drew games and,
Yes, for
kind of get
sure.
into that discussion a little bit.
All right. So, of course, the major character in the Nancy Drew games is the title character, Nancy Drew. Nancy Drew, in case you guys don't know, is a girl detective, technically a teenage detective. I think probably in the game series they age her up to like 18 or 19. So she
Yeah.
is actually a legal adult. But she gets to travel the world, solve mysteries. It's a really cool way to actually like see the world sort of without leaving your house if you don't have the money to travel.
Yes.
It introduces you to new cultures and everything. But I love Nancy Drew. I wish I could be Nancy Drew. All of the adventures she has, and she's just so willing to go for it. Like that's such a great inspiration. She's like willing to just like go out there and be like, yeah, I'm gonna go do this, and this is gonna happen. And I'm like, where do you get that confidence? Although I probably would, if I was Nancy Drew, I would ask a little bit less about people's dead mothers, but you know.
Yes. Like
Uh,
I love Nancy. And they always say that Nancy has reddish hair and this is my natural color, so I always felt like I was very close when I was playing to the games
Carly
to
is
Nancy.
Nancy,
I always thought I was
confirmed.
Nancy. Yes. But, no, Nancy Drew is seriously just she's very awesome, like, I love playing her, and feeling like I'm in her character every time, because solving mysteries is so cool, like, I don't know, I always kind of wanted to secretly be a detective when I grew up or be in forensics or something like that, and, just to be able to play the games and feel like, you're solving in each case that you solve, I feel like it's just such an accomplishment, like, I don't know, and watching other shows and real life people that I know that, are detectives and that kind of thing. It's just very cool to be able to put myself into the shoes of, Nancy Drew. So,
Yeah, it's definitely cool. I think you are actually Nancy Drew secretly, so I'm very honored to have met you. But yeah, The games are a lot of fun with Nancy, of course, and she's really a character I feel like a lot of people can step into her shoes, and that's kinda what makes her so great, and so part of the reason, you'll never see her character in the games, so, like, we've never actually seen Nancy Drew's face. Her father is actually a golf ball, so in case you were
I know,
wondering.
yeah, every time she
Uh,
calls him, it's, like, just a
it's a golf
picture.
ball picture.
Mhm.
Um, but
Carson
Nancy
Drew.
Drew someday we'll have to do a podcast about all the Tumblr memes there are because, oh my gosh, there's so many. I gotta introduce you to them, Car.
Yes,
Um,
please, I would love
but
that.
Nancy is never actually seen in the games, and the reason for that is very simple. We know she has red hair, but beyond that, Her Interactive wanted their audience to be able to develop Nancy in their own minds, and sort of like see her the way they wanted to see her. And I,
Mhm,
I really admire that decision, honestly, because I think she means a lot to a lot of people, and that's what part of what makes the games so magic. It allows you to step into her shoes. You feel like you're the one solving the mystery because you are, but it's just like a form of escapism, and I don't think people realize what it's doing when they're playing it, but it's so cool to, like, analyze those things. I don't know.
oh,
I'm
yeah.
taking I'm taking literacy classes in grad school, so, like, game literacy is fun.
And I think what's really fun is, some of the things that Nancy says, like, "It's locked. It's locked." She always says that all the
It's
time.
locked.
"It's
I need the
locked."
key.
Or,
Hello there, dead end.
"Hmm."
My name's Nancy Drew.
Yeah, or
Hmm.
she's like, "Hmm, hmm."
Can't check that off yet.
Yeah, can't check
Haven't
that
done
off.
that yet. Still have to do that.
Yeah, I feel like I need to get, like, some sort of shirt with all the Nancy quotes on it because it's just amazing. They're so funny. Or when the game that I'm playing Deception Island and, Danger on Deception Island, and, I think it's really great because she keeps looking at something and she's like, "Interesting, interesting."
Interesting.
And she says it a
Interesting.
ton of times.
Oh my gosh. But, you played Phantom of Menace, right?
Yes.
The best part is the Tesseract show.
Oh, yeah.
What a marvelous shade of fuchsia. Oh my gosh. But that's we can get into that a little bit later. Um,
Yes.
Other characters though also play a huge part in Nancy Drew. Of course, she couldn't solve mysteries without her two best friends, Bess and George. So what are your thoughts on Bess and George, Carr?
Oh my gosh. So Bess is literally Nancy's best friend, and I believe George is Bess's cousin.
Mhm.
And they're, also best friends. All 3 of them are best friends. And I think, like, the dynamic is amazing because Nancy will always call them every single, Nancy Drew game. Normally, Nancy will call either Bess or she'll call George, and they're always together. Almost always. Almost in every single Nancy game, they're together. And I think what I love about about Bess is that she loves to flirt. She's always asking Nancy, in all of the games if anyone's cute, which always, like, puts some comical relief behind the terror or scariness of a Nancy Drew game. Um, and she's very friendly and she's always making the games like way more comical though. But
Mhm.
I would say Bess is more naive and she's always thinking like, "Oh, this could be like a supernatural thing going on."
It's
But
a ghost. Oh my gosh.
instead of using like logical explanations where I feel like George does not panic at all like Bess does. And like I feel like is kind of, I don't know, just more like logical in her reasonings, but they both together just like I don't know, they're awesome because they make me think of my, best friends and my friends in life that, they're so anybody I feel like could relate to having a friend that was like Bess and George, I feel like. What do you think, Joy?
Yeah. I feel like both of them are great representation, and what I mean by
Mhm,
that is even in the books, like, so they follow pretty closely in their personalities and, everything, what their
mhm,
description is in the books, and so the fact that Bess is a different body shape than what you would normally see is, like, great representation on the Her Games, I really do applaud that, and that she's, like, sort of the flirty, cute one who gets all the guys' attention. I love that, like, that's
mhm.
great, um and then George is sort of like the tomboy, and I love that they kept that because they made George really smart and really intelligent,
Mhm.
um, and she's sort of like the logical one, and so, like, it's
Yeah.
kind of funny because you got Bess and George, and then we'll move on to talk about Frank and Joe in a second, but you kinda got, like, the
Yes.
same sort of balance there with logic versus not logic, and hence why I ship Bess and Joe all the time. They go so well together.
Yes,
Um,
I
but
agree.
yeah, so they definitely are interesting, characters, and I really, really like their characterization in the her games. I think their animation in the games now this is something that we don't talk about much. There are some games where they look great, right? They
Yes.
look amazing.
Mhm.
Um, but there are some games where I'm like, "What did you do to them?" Like, I'm confused, like, "Hello?"
Well, I
Um,
feel like George and Alibi in the no, it was the Ransom of the Seven Ships, where they
yeah,
like her
that one
hair
was
was
rough.
yeah, her hair was really, really short and I don't know, she didn't look like how she normally did. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Alibi and Ashes was probably the one where they looked the best. I'm trying to
Yeah.
think about, any other ones. They looked rough in Ransom of the Seven Ships.
Yes,
They looked
very.
rough, like, Bess did not look okay.
No,
She didn't
no.
really look like herself either. I don't know why they changed the design so much.
Mhm.
But I mean, the same applies with the Hardy Boys, which is Frank and Joe Hardy, who we'll talk about next. Frank
Yes.
and Joe Hardy are incredible. I am in love with Frank Hardy. If he were real, I would marry him on the spot. Um, you think I'm joking? Um, but yeah, Frank and Joe Hardy are from the Hardy Boys series, the book series, and they are two of Nancy's friends, crossover, everyone. There are actually Nancy Drew and Hardy Boy Super Mysteries, and I have some of them, so, maybe someday I'll do
Oh,
a reading stream for some of them because I love
yeah.
Frank and Nancy.
You should.
But they are, also detectives, and in the games, they're working, with I don't remember what it's called. They work with some agency as detectives, teen detectives or whatever. ATAC, American Teens Against Crime, that's what it's called.
Yes.
Um, and so they also come along sometimes on mysteries and help Nancy out, or they end up by chance in the same area. And this is where I'm like, "Oh, has Carr played this game?" Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon.
Yes.
I know the graphics looked a little bit rough, but I think that might be one of my favorite animations of them.
Oh,
Like, I
yeah.
think they looked like themselves in that.
And it
Although
was
someone pointed
awesome.
out that it looks like Frank's hair is a hat, and I can't unsee it. But
Now
Midnight
I
in
need to go back and
Salem,
see this because that sounds really interesting, yeah.
for all the flaws that Midnight in Salem had, I think they did the animations of the characters pretty well. So, like, that was fun. But also they did My Boys Dirty in Creature of Kapu Cave. Um
I have not done that one yet, but I'm, nervous to see what they I've heard that they don't look very good.
Yeah, I am of the weird opinion. I actually really like Creature of Kapu Cave. A lot of people don't, but
Yeah.
for me, it's like one of those little gems hidden there. I'm like, I really enjoy that one.
Oh, yeah.
It is way better than Ransom of the Seven Ships. But we'll talk about that later.
And Joe's the younger brother, though, of the 2,
Joe
correct?
is the younger brother, yes,
Yeah.
and he is the sort of prankster and jokester, and he is also wonderful. He is not a terrible character. Frank is just everything. Like,
Well, Frank's, like,
I'm a
very
Francie shipper. So, like, I will write fan fictions with Frank and Nancy.
yeah.
We Plague and I have something planned for that actually, so
But Frank, I feel like, is definitely, like, a lot more cautious, and he's kinda, like, unamused by Joe a lot of the time, but,
Mhm.
and Joe, you're right, he's very prankster, but I feel like Joe and Bess would be perfect for each other.
Oh, 100%. The best quote from the game though, or any of the games is like where Joe's like, "Do you catch my drift?" And Frank's just like, "I'm saddled with your drift. I've been living with your drift for years." And I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, I love you."
I love that. Oh,
Yeah.
and of course, we can't forget about Ned Nickerson, Nancy's boyfriend throughout almost all of the Nancy games.
Whew, this is a interesting. I don't know which ones you played again. You played Sea of Darkness though, so like you have
Yes.
that image of what is going on in their relationship. Have you played why am I blanking on the name? Captive Curse.
No, I have not played Captive Curse.
Okay. Okay, yeah. That one is needed for, like, Ned C relationship development. So I
Oh,
won't talk about that one, but you did hear the one in Sea of Darkness, like, their little argument there.
yeah.
Have you played Midnight in Salem?
No, not yet.
Okay, so there's a lot of, like, chat if you know Nancy Drew games, you know there's a lot of Nancy and Ned relationship development in these games.
Yes.
Um, there's reasons why I'm a Francie shipper. I don't know where you stand on this though, like, who do you ship? Would you rather see Ned and Nancy or Frank and Nancy? And in the books, I will say I do love Ned, like, I adore Ned. I just don't necessarily appreciate game Ned as much.
So as we're playing, kind of, her interactive definitely, I feel like gives a lot of true relationship things that does happen between Ned and Nancy. Like, every time she's calling him, he's very worried, he's very scared and nervous for Nancy. And that's like I feel like any, significant other would be worried about you going out there and doing these detective and trying to solve crimes and things like that. But I personally, I've gone back and forth on this. I still think that I like Ned and Nancy together. He's
Mhm,
very sweet, but like when I'm playing the games, like I just recently played Sea of Darkness.
mhm.
Nancy unfortunately forgets that it's their anniversary
Yeah.
and she leaves to go on this trip to Iceland.
Mhm.
And to solve another mystery. And to me, it like breaks my heart a little bit, but like Ned at first was kind of has any, normal, feeling because he's kind of upset with Nancy and a little bit, very upset with Nancy, for choosing to go on and solve this mystery instead of, you know, doing their anniversary, but I genuinely like Ned. I think but I will tell you in the games I get very frustrated because sometimes you call Ned and you ask him for a hint and he just goes, Bess and George might be better suited to help you answer this, or he doesn't even give you any hint at all and you're like, well then why did I even call you?
Oh, yeah,
you know
100%. It's just like the calls where you, like, ask for a hint and they don't give you anything, and it's like, "Okay, bye." I'm like, "Wait, what?" But, I mean, I understand, like, the sort of the game making process there, like, especially back in the older games. It flows a little better in the newer games. I will say Ned
Mhm.
is, my favorite is Ned in Silent Spy, because he
Mhm.
is so supportive of Nancy. So at one
Oh.
point, like Carson is really mad, which is Nancy's father. He's really mad that she went off to Scotland by herself, like to find out what happened to her mother.
Mhm.
Spoiler alert, her mother in the books dies when she's 3. Her mother in the games dies as a spy when she's like 10. So a little bit of nonlinear nonlinear things between the book and the games, but
Mhm.
I really actually appreciate the what am I saying? I really appreciate Silent Spy for one thing. So like Silent Spy to me was the epitome of her interactive listening to their fans.
Yes.
And this is for several reasons. So like first of all, there's mom jeans and the mention of mom jeans in the games. There is, a
Mom
horse
jeans.
shirt, mention of horse shirt in the games. And it just, like it felt like they were listening to their fans, and I know some people don't like that game, but for me, it was so huge, and the character development of Ned in that game, if I could have Ned like that in every single game, I would 100% be a Ned Sea shipper for the games.
Mhm.
Um, because he breaks into the house to get the poem because her dad will not let her have it, and then he stands up to her father and is like even though he's like, "Yes, sir," he's like, uh, he's like, "You know, you're not gonna stop Nancy on this one. She's gonna do what she wants."
Mhm.
And I feel like without you having played, like, Midnight in Salem and Captive Curse, it's kinda, like, hard to, like, go into details about this. I feel like that's a Ned that we didn't get to see continuing on.
Mhm.
I feel like that secure Ned, knowing what he wanted to do and like what Nancy wanted to do, and being willing to help his girlfriend no matter what, didn't show up again in the games later.
Oh.
And Frank, on the other hand, does show up. I mean, also Frank is just another detective. I don't hate Ned. I really do like Ned. I just think from the game version, he would do better with a girl who's closer to home. And Frank, since he's also a detective, he understands
Mhm.
what Nancy needs in a relationship. And I think that to me is really important for Nancy. But who knows? If there's more games, fingers crossed.
Yes.
They say there will be. I don't know if there will be or not. I don't really have much hope, but Fingers crossed, maybe we'd see Ned in a game. Maybe he'd go on a mystery with Nancy. I think that was what was hinted at. So that would be really cool to see. But yes, I've rambled on about my fancy beliefs long enough. Car, what do you think?
Well, the other thing too that I was gonna say is maybe my thoughts will change once I finish up the rest of the games that I need to finish up. Uh, and maybe I'll go hop on that Frank train after seeing how Ned is. But I mean, I did play Silent Spy, so I agree with you 100%. I loved that version of Ned. And I like to think Ned is still like that in the other games, just they kind of didn't make him like that, I guess. So,
Yeah,
you
for
know.
sure. But yeah, I mean, I don't have issues with Ned. I just don't necessarily think he's the match for Nancy.
Yeah.
However, Bess and Joe will stand on that like hill forever. They're cute together. I believe in it. I believe in it. I might need to go write some Bess and Joe fan fiction after this. Um,
Well, but however, Julie, we cannot forget, and I mean, literally anybody who's watching this who loves Nancy games, playing Nancy games, we cannot forget who the number one Mr. Cutie, who could be perfect for Nancy in a way. I'm just kidding. Wink, wink. Would
Ah,
is Dave.
you
Come
got a
on.
study back home?
Yeah. Literally, when
No, I
Nancy
do not, Dave. I will date you. Yes.
literally, when Nancy vacations to Shadow Ranch, she meets Dave and he's very shy at first and but then he takes a liking to Nancy and he does. He asks her, "Do you have a study back home?"
You got a study back home? Oh my gosh, like that man. Her did a good job designing that man. He is attractive.
Mhm.
And another one you might mention is Henry Bolet from Legend of the Crystal Skull. Although I know you haven't played that one. He
Yes.
is he is like if you like the goth kind of boy,
Yeah.
he is fine. Also, he needs
Yes.
to get out of his relationship with Summer, but Um but yeah, so there are a lot of really attractive characters in Nancy Drew. I've heard people say like Henrik Vanderheun from Secret of the Scarlet Hand
Mhm.
is hella fine. And,
Aw.
I think he is pretty attractive for, like, a slightly older guy. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know, you played Secret of the Scarlet Hand, right?
Nope.
Oh, you haven't played that one yet. I'm mentioning all these games that you haven't played yet. There are so many attractive men in the Nancy Drew games. There are also so many attractive women if you like the woman.
Yeah.
And they do really do a good job, like, considering a lot of these games came out in the early 2000s, um, like, the graphics quality is pretty good, like, pretty
Oh,
decent.
yeah. And they keep
Um,
getting better, I feel like. The graphics just keep getting better and better, you know? But,
yeah.
the one thing that I, really do like too and, they have just all different characters and, from Rick Arlen, who, is the hunk, the soap opera hunk, I
Oh
believe.
my gosh, he is not attractive at all. Get him outta
No,
here.
no,
Like,
and, like,
no
they
thank
have
you.
some very, like, conceited, like, very a lot of people on there that really love themselves. Who else?
Yeah.
Brady Armstrong's another one, in the final
Um,
scene.
don't you just love Brady Armstrong? Aren't you just Jane Penvellyn, who's
Yeah.
like, "Do you want to play a game?"
Yeah, so do you want to play a game? You do it really well, I
Oh,
love it.
I love Jane because she is, the same age that I would be, or that I am,
Mhm.
rather. Because she was born the same year as me, so I'm like, "Jane,
Oh, I love Jane.
yes, we
Yes.
are we are the same age." But yeah, she's she's an interesting character there. One of the only children in the Nancy Drew games.
Yeah,
There are
she
not many
is.
children, and I would actually, like, really like to see more younger characters, like, I think you've got Lucas
Yeah,
in
in
Captive
Castle
Curse.
yeah, no, in Castle isn't Castle Malloy, isn't that the one? Isn't that
No,
Luke?
I don't think there's children in that one,
Oh, I thought there was
but there
the
is
little guy
Lucas in
that's
Captive Curse.
the little guy. Oh, maybe it is Captive Curse.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I don't know if there's any more than that, honestly. There's not very many children. There are some animals, but all of them are pretty terrifyingly animated, like Yuri from, Secret of the Old Clock. That cat might be possessed by the devil, but it's okay.
Oh, yeah, that was
Um
creepy.
But yeah, I there's not many children in the Nancy Drew games, and I kinda get it because, like, a lot of times, children aren't gonna be the ones committing crimes,
Mhm.
but it's also, like, an interesting dynamic. I feel like the more characters you have and, like, the more children you have and, like, the balance of characters, a lot of times that makes a game feel more realistic and more immersive.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think I'd like to see more children characters in future games.
Yeah. The other thing that I really like is all the ways that Nancy gets to places, like how she, transportation. It's either, by bike or by boat or,
Mm.
by car, and you kind of have to drive a car around in a way, but it's,
And
not
you
so
crash
much
the car a
driving.
million times.
Or get a flat
Yeah.
tire and you're like in the game and you're like, what do
I
I do?
love the transportation of the Nintendo Studio games. It's so much fun. It's just,
Mhm.
like, so creative, and, like, even when you have, like, the montages of walking for a really long time, I like that because it just immerses you. It's like, "Oh, this is gonna take a while."
Yeah. And it's
And
so fun.
transportation is so much fun.
Mhm.
Um, I also love, absolutely love Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon because you are on a train for half of the mystery.
Mhm.
Like, you are literally on the train. It is a moving train, and I love trains. We used to take the train down, to Disney World every other year when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and I love trains, guys. They're so much fun to ride on, and being able to be on a train and have to solve a mystery in that confined space, and there's still so much oh my gosh, secret compartments are my favorite thing, and that game is just beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Well, it kinda, like,
Yeah.
reminded me of, like, the first parts of, like, Harry Potter where they're on a train and, they go from, like, room to room kinda thing, and it just gave me, like, a cool
Yeah.
vibe that the whole mystery was on the,
It's so good.
train, yeah.
So good.
Do you wanna start discussing our top games,
Oh,
Julie?
for sure, for sure. Would you like me to go first?
Sure, sure.
Alright, so top 3 games of mine. It is very challenging, let me think. Can I just do the top 3 and not worry about order?
Yes, of course,
Okay,
top 3,
cool.
doesn't matter the
Um,
order, yes.
my top 3, I always say, are Treasure in the Royal Tower,
Mhm, I
which
knew
was
you
my
were gonna
first
say
game, we
that.
talked about it.
Yes.
It also has that French history and everything.
Mhm.
And then also, we have Curse of Blackmore Manor.
Oh,
Love Curse of
yes.
Blackmore Manor, it's one of the best games out there, I will fight people on that. I wanted to design a manor like this and just live in it, but also I wanted to write a book about the Penvillin family history because there's so much information there.
Yeah.
Um, 3rd game is Ghost of Thornton Hall, which is one that you haven't played yet and that
Mhm.
you need to play, and I love Ghost of Thornton Hall for the ambiance, and, like, the
Ooh.
aesthetic of it all, and Charlotte is I wanna cosplay Charlotte so bad.
So, I'm assuming this is one that I'm gonna have to 100% play for everybody to watch.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I would co-stream it with you, but sometimes I feel like it's best to play the first one by the first time by yourself.
Okay, yes,
Unless you wanted me to. Like, I will co-stream it with you if you want me to.
I'm excited. Yeah, well, my top games, and not in any order, but, definitely Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon. I loved that game. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Especially because I think the reason why I loved it is because Frank and Joe were there. I just and we kind of already discussed that, we're on a train, so that was really cool. The next one that I really, really liked, I just recently played, and it was Sea of Darkness. I loved that game. I want to go to Iceland so badly. I just think it would be so awesome to go. And just the whole game, that was a really long game. And I think that they took a lot of time and effort to put in to make that like a really good storyline and everything. So I genuinely loved that one. And the last one I really, really liked was Alibi in Ashes. I loved being able to play I was Bess, I was George, I was Ned. Like that was so much fun. Like I loved being able because Nancy's in jail for committing, arson that she didn't do. That doesn't give anything away, but like that's how the game starts out. And it was just cool to be able to be all three of the characters because all three of the characters, got to go around and with like that's how you really got to know their personalities. And I thought that was really cool and very fun to play.
Yes, for sure. That was definitely a really cool game, experience. It doesn't, like, sit high on my list for some reason, but, like, I love that number punch puzzle. That one is
Yes.
so much fun. But yeah, I think, yeah, the games are like I love Nancy Drew games because everyone has different favorites.
Oh
There's
yeah.
something for everyone, really. Like, I know people who like the next game I'm playing is, Secret of the Scarlet Hand on my channel. I don't stream,
Oh,
by the way, chat. Um,
yes. I can't wait to see it.
But the next game I'm gonna play is Secret of Scarlet Hand, which Car hasn't played yet, so maybe Car should get on that.
I
Um,
know.
but yeah, it's a fun game and like I really enjoy it and I really love the history, but I know people who don't like it, and that's cool. And like we all respect each other's opinions, and I love that about this community. I'm gonna
Mhm.
gush about the Her Interactive community till the day I die because
Aw,
y'all are amazing and I
yes.
love that. But yeah, so yay Nancy Drew. But now that we've discussed our favorite games, everyone has their opinions about games. What might be, let's say, your bottom 3?
Okay, so I will go first. Uh,
Yes.
in the actual order, because I'm telling you, there's one game in particular I did not like at all.
I think I know which one it is.
Is Ransom of the Seven Ships. I
Worst
did
game.
not like that game at all. That's my top like the bottom of the bottom of all Nancy games. I did not like that game. I thought the puzzles were very difficult in that game. Like
Oh, they were
very
so
difficult.
hard. I
And
I, like, wanted to cry. I can't I still have not solved that game without a walkthrough, be
and
honest with you.
and for me, I literally so I try like I when I stream or play any Nancy's, especially for, the first time, I try not to use any walkthroughs. I chat. I rely on chat. And I'm telling you, I think the last puzzle, and this doesn't give anything away, but the last puzzle in that game, I almost screamed. It was like with the keys, you had to figure out
Uh,
like which keys go, whatever.
that
I
one
almost
didn't bother me
screamed.
quite as much as the timed puzzle. The timed
Yeah.
puzzle,
Oh.
like, I couldn't even solve that, like, without 5 tries with the walkthrough open.
Mhm.
I was like, "What? Are you kidding me?" It
I
was it was painful, dude.
Ugh. I, like, absolutely just I don't know, that whole game, I just was not a huge fan of. Some of the parts I thought were okay, but again, not my favorite Nancy. The second one that I would say is The Phantom of Venice. I did not really like that one that much. Um, Not really for, like, any particular reason, I just didn't I kinda wanted to be, like, in more locations than we were. I don't know, and I just I the characters were fine, I guess, but, I didn't like that one as much, and, if I ever have to play a Scopa ever again, I will scream. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I could
for
not stand
facts.
the Scopa.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, no, no.
And then I would say I know a lot of people like this one, but I would just say it's way too short and it wasn't I mean, it was good, but I didn't love it, was The Haunted
Oh.
Carousel.
Haunted Carousel.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Nancy Drew quotes is from that game. Did you know that?
No, what is it?
What is it called? What, let me. I'm blanking on it. Even bad memories have a place in a good life.
Oh, I like that.
I
Yeah.
really love that line, and I think that's part of the reason. Like that sideline story with Joy
Mhm.
is just like as I grew up, it became so important to me because,
Aw.
like, I've struggled with mental health issues for a while, and, like, just seeing that, like, sort of, like, hit home with me. So,
Yeah.
like, I think that's part of the reason I like that game so much. I will admit there's not much to do, it's a pretty fast game, but,
Yes. I
yeah, just like that line, "Even bad memories have a place in a good life," and
yeah.
just
I
I
feel
it's such a peace-bringing line.
like, for me, I feel like that whole Nancy game was just too like, it was over very quickly, and I wanted there to be more, So, like, for Nancy's, I just wanted a lot more, I guess, and more to
Mhm.
solve, and it was cute. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, I love playing every single Nancy. I really
Oh,
don't
yeah,
have
100%.
like, I don't have a bad, thing, for any of the Nancys, but if I had to say that's, my 3rd
Except
least
Ransom of
favorite.
the 7 Ships.
Yeah.
I'll fight that game. The only good part was the puzzle with the words. That was
So
fun.
so Julie, what would you say are
I
your
have to look up a
bottom
list
3?
because I'm, like, blanking. Definitely, yeah, my number 1 least favorite Nancy Drew game is Ransom of the 7 Ships. I don't think anyone
Mhm.
in chat doesn't know, that I hate that game. I hate it with all my heart. I think it's terrible. I don't think there are redeeming factors. I don't even like Cuckoo that much, like, dude, like, I
Cuckoo.
should, really, but, like, he makes me go look for too many branches, and I am not about it.
I like Lulu better. Lulu.
Yeah,
Lulu.
Lulu is Felicity,
It's a bird.
the
It's a bird in
door.
case anybody wonders.
Um, but yeah, I don't like that game.
Mhm.
Again, that puzzle at the end, I couldn't even solve it with the walkthrough open. There was something wrong with the game when I can't even solve it with the walkthrough open. So, it was definitely a challenging game for me, and, I'm not gonna give spoilers away, but, it has been discontinued
Mhm.
by Her Interactive. You can no longer buy that game, because of racism. Um, so, yeah,
So that's also another thing of with that game that's, not good.
it's a little uncomfortable, that one.
Yeah.
I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. I honestly
No.
don't know, like, even if it hadn't been, like, if it hadn't been, like, that sort of context,
Yeah.
I don't know why they thought the culprit was a good idea. It
Exactly.
makes no sense. I don't know what kind of fever trip they were on when they'd made that, but it was ugh, that game was not good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I can express my hatred and discomfort with Ransom of the Seven Ships for a very long time, but we might as well move on to my second, which is probably the Captive Curse. Now, I don't hate the Captive Curse. Like again, like I'm like Car, I love all the Nancy Drew games. I love playing them.
Yeah.
But I'd say like the puzzles in the Captive Curse, I'm not a big fan of. And here's why. Like usually they'll have a mini game or something that you can play, and I usually love playing the mini games. Like they're so much fun. But the mini game in the Captive Curse is a board game. I do not like board games. You have to play so many board games in the Captive Curse, and I am not a board game person. And I know that's weird because
In
I'm a
real
total
life?
nerd. All of my friends, yeah, all of my friends love board games and they always want to play them. And I'm like, I'll pass. Like, I just don't want to play board games. I'd rather do something else. And like I fully give people the opportunity to play those and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But for some reason, they just don't vibe with me. It's like Cards Against Humanity and Apples to Apples also doesn't vibe with me. So it kind of makes sense. I think I just don't like group games. Um, but yeah, so that kind of ruined that one for me. It's not the most fun game for me. I don't hate the game. I just feel like it drags on a little.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
think now that you mention it, like Phantom of Venice would have to be my third, because I love all the other ones, or maybe Trail of the Twister. Um, yeah, Trail of the Twister probably comes before Phantom of Venice. Phantom of Venice is a fun game for the most part, but not really like the most entertaining game. I was telling Car earlier, it's the only game that I've actually forgotten the culprit at one point, and I was like, "What happens at the ending?" And now I remember because 'cause I've seen people play it since, but I'm like, it was that unmemorable."
I don't
Um,
remember it actually at all. I don't know.
yeah. Trail of the Twister, on the other hand, is just kind of
I haven't played that
they
one,
were
but I've
trying
heard
to
it's
do a concept, a very educational concept, but they didn't execute it in a way that was, fun, like Secret of the Scarlet Hand is.
Mhm.
They kinda just made an educational game, and it's not the worst game in the world, but, like, it's also just, like, meh, and there's this one trigger that if you miss it, you can get stuck for so long, and I had to help, like, my friends like, 2 of my friends get past this trigger because they just forgot to look at this one thing, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, this is kinda ridiculous." But yeah, I think those are my top 3 least favorite games.
Yeah.
Probably ones that I wouldn't replay often. I think Trail of the Twister might be above Captive Curse actually on that list.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm the opposite. I love playing board games. Like, in real life, I love playing board games.
Oh gosh, I don't know what it is about me. I think I'm just not a patient person. And so like I gravitate towards things that like will give me um immediate like satisfaction, like clicking heads in Valorant. It's fast paced and like entertaining like that. I don't do slow paced unless I'm reading a book or something. And
Oh,
if
yeah.
I'm by myself, I can do slow paced. If
Yeah.
I'm with other people, I just want to keep moving.
Well, I think, like, where we can, like, kind of end with this Nancy, discussion is we're definitely gonna do another Nancy, stream, or podcast, I should say, whenever, I finish all the rest of the games, and then that way we can kinda do a more so tiered list for everyone, and we can kinda
Yes.
discuss a little bit more in detail
Yeah,
about, why certain games and that kinda thing. But
for sure.
I think one, like, good last, like, little question is, out of all of the Nancy games, you know, what would you say is your favorite thing to do? Is it, like, puzzle-wise, I guess?
Ooh.
Like,
I
what.
will give you one answer.
Yeah.
Definitely not sewing in Secret of the Old Clock.
Oh, no,
I hate that.
I did terrible.
That's not how you sew. Um,
Or for me,
Mini games
I would say
wise.
in, Shadow Ranch, in Secret of Shadow Ranch, or, the one big thing that I thought was terrible was picking vegetables. If I ever had to pick a vegetable again, I was gonna scream.
You can find more eggs than that, Nancy.
Yeah, I can.
You can find more eggs than that. Oh my gosh, Shorty. Oh, he
Yes.
will haunt my dreams tonight.
Mhm.
Let's think about it, okay? So we are talking right about like what the favorite thing to do when an answer your game is. I am not prepared for this test. I really like cooking. I actually really do like the cooking in Nancy Drew games for most
Yeah.
of the part. I once I get into a pattern and a rhythm, I just like let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. I could do I know what it is. Silent Spy cookie making forever, like 100%.
Yes.
As my favorite minigame, probably my favorite cooking minigame in the entire series. I also like really doing the games like the number punch ones where you have to beat a certain time.
Yes.
Those are fun.
I also I mean, I liked bartending, doing some
Mhm.
bartending. I did not like
Yeah.
preparing bento in Shadow at Water's Edge. That was
I
that was not
think
good.
AGB practically died when she prepared bento after doing like a 24-hour stream.
Yeah.
I will say the one thing that I love doing that everyone hates, a very controversial topic. I love slider puzzles.
Oh, I knew you were gonna say
I
this.
love slider puzzles. They
No, no,
are
no, no, not for me.
amazing. They are one of the best puzzle styles to ever exist. If Nancy Drew was solely slider puzzles, I would be thrilled.
Yeah,
Everyone else would
not for
hate
me.
me, but oh my gosh, I told Car numerous times, "Just hand me the mouse. I got it." She never hands me the mouse, partially because, I live in Ohio and she lives on the East Coast,
Yeah.
but yeah, so, that'll be fun.
But
Yeah, that doing slider puzzles. One of these days, Car and I are gonna meet up in person, and we're gonna play an answer game together, and, there's gonna be a slider puzzle, and be like, "Hand me the mouse," and she will.
exactly, which will be so fun.
Yeah. Co-stream in person? Question mark?
Yeah, that would be very cool if we could.
That'd be lit. Yeah.
Um, but everybody, there will be another podcast, coming up
Coming up soon.
soon, and, you might
Oh,
be
it's on our childhood games, I think. So,
yes, yes,
Nancy Drew will definitely be another topic of conversation in there, but we're also gonna talk about, like, the other games that we played growing up and sort of like
exactly,
that sort of thing.
which
Get
are a
ready for
lot.
talking about Jumpstart. Yeah.
Yes, very excited, and we're gonna be talking about Barbie. I used to play some Barbie games.
Oh my gosh, Barbie. The Barbie one with the snowboarding and skating was my life as a child. Um, but we'll save this topic conversation for the next podcast.
Yes, so get very excited, and, thank you guys all for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's been a great time, and we hope you have a wonderful day. And we love you, serious heart hands, and have a great day,
Yes.
guys.